breaking up these complex numbers into 2 days. We're going to warm up with a little bit of practice of stuff we've done. If you look the square root of 126 and you're like, does 4 go in there? No, it doesn't, but 9 goes in there. So you can move it around first, and then break it down with the factors 9 times 14. And then 9's a perfect square, so you square root 9 and you get 3. 3 root 14. Oh man, that's so much fun, Mr. Plant. Solve the equation x squared plus 4 equals 0 using the square root property. So if we were to solve this, first, you already know this. We would subtract the 4, obviously. So we'd get x squared equals -4, and then we try to square root those. But you can't square root negative numbers, right? Because if we said 2 squared is 4. If I said -2 squared is also 4. So we'd be like, oh, well, this is no solution. Until today. Woo! So check this out. I is going to be this imaginary unit. I represents the square root of -1. So we can't square root negative numbers ordinarily, but now with the imaginary unit, the square root of -1 is equal to I. And then when you square that, I squared is equal to -1, right? Because if you square something that's in square roots, those are inverse operations, so they cancel each other out. So that's why I squared is equal to -1. So that's what we are going to use to write the square root of any negative numbers, okay? So let's check this out. Square root of -2. You can't do it, usually. But we can break this up into the square root of -1 times the square root of 2. And with what we know now, the square root of -1 is equal to I times the square root of 2. It just becomes I root 2. Great, delightful. Square root of -4. We can think of that as the square root of -1 times the square root of 4, right? -1 times 4 is -4. The square root of -1 is I. The square root of 4 is 2. And I times 2 we would write as 2I. But from this point forward, if you want, you can just do the square root of -4. Just treat it like regular 4. And then just kick out an I with it. So the square root of 4 is 2. So then make it 2I. You know what I'm saying? That'll handle the negative part. So -75. So if it was regular 75, we would do 25 times 3. That would give us 75. But we have -75. So we're going to count that as -25 times 3. The square root of 25 is 5. So the square root of -25 would be 5I root 3. It's not that bad. Don't worry about it. Okay. -3 times the square root of -16. Now the square root of -16, square root of 16 is 4. Square root of -16 is 4I times the -3 that was out there will give us -12I. It's not even that bad, yeah? So I have 3 for you to try here. The third one is pretty tough, but go ahead and pause it. I'm going to knock these 3 out. Let's see how much time I got. I got about a minute. So pause. I'm going to do these 3.